Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tender. We're going to take a look at Tesla today. We've been bullish on Tesla. I do believe that the market, we're looking at a situation where we might get pretty bearish. So I want to give a scenario in Tesla to where I think a bullish move in the short term could play out, but ultimately it would resolve to the downside, supporting the thesis that later in the year, the market should have quite the recessive move, possibly going to a recession. And then I'll give you an even more bearish scenario here, just in case Tesla decides to break down in the very near term. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look. This is the board that I call Elliott Wave Bear now. So let's start over, and I'm going to end up at that point. I don't know if we'll have time to go to the 65, but we'll check it out. Let's go to the monthly time frame and work our way down. In a sense that we're going to go lower, and I think lower would bring us to. Let me draw this out so we can use this as reference in the future. I think lower would be that trend line there, would be a likely scenario. So let's draw that out. Give it a little arrow, and of course not in a straight line, but that would be our look down there, about around 75 area. Or if it takes longer to get there, the trend line goes up, so 80 or so. Not much lower, but that would give us a measured move if we did. We should probably do this on the Elliott wave, but I'll show you, and then I'll erase it. If we draw an A, if this is an A, we're working on B, then the 100 extension, oh gosh, would be much, much lower. That'd be negative. So we can't really play that out like that because it's in the scaling like this. So we'd have to change our scaling and whatnot. So that typically you'd use your extension bar and or these here, just drawing a line, but you can't clearly because of the log scaling. So this would be visually, this would be an equal A, B in a C scenario. And that's what we're going to show is happening. So right now, digging in, looking at this as a bearish outcome, but maybe bullish, excuse me, in the near term. Perhaps we get a spike up to test the trend line here, or maybe the 50 moving average, seeing that we do have a bearish situation in the monthly, but we'll look into the lower time frames where I think we have a more bullish outlook. So I do think this might have a chance to test this uptrend line here. People will get really excited and say this is a inverse head and shoulder, which that's the bullish scenario, right? So if we do break above the downtrend line, that I think will play out. But I'm going to show you exactly how this should play out if this is a bear scenario. Now, very bearish, we're at the 8 EMA, and this should just continue lower. Let's move to the weekly time frame. On the weekly, again, this is still like a kind of like a bullish flag that we're looking at here. We're above the 8 EMA. We're above the 20. We're getting a little bit of strength here. And again, the inverse head and shoulder on the lower time frame hasn't quite played out yet. We're at the neckline today, this week. And if we decide that price can break above, this inverse head and shoulder can play out and still be a bearish pattern. Okay, so from our neckline here to the low here could easily be boom, and that 100% comes out to about the downtrend line. depending on where the breakout is. Comes about to the downtrend line, so we could test the 200 moving average on the weekly, and again that downtrend line. So that would be a nice measured move for this inverse head and shoulder on the lower time frame to play out. So in a bullish stance here on the weekly, and we're getting this weekly bullish crossover here on the MACD, showing some strength here. We're not oversold or anything like that. So looking good on this time frame. We are in the bearish territory with bullish histograms, so that's something to be cautious. Maybe we get right back above and then start heading lower at that point for a lower high and continue the downtrend to the downside. That would make a lot of sense in this price action. So let's go to the daily, and then we'll show that board again on how this might look. I'll give you two scenarios for the bearish side. Okay, so this is the stance that we are still at. I still think this is going to play out. We're looking quite firm. We have the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's a breakout from a downtrend, capitulation, a nice impulse move here, a consolidation, and I think this would be another impulse here. So again, that's that measured possible A correction, large correction that we had, kind of fake break, and then we had the impulse, and now we're correcting and back testing, but we're holding above the momentum indicator, the 8 EMA, and above all the other moving averages except for the 200. So we'll have to fight this point here. This is a resistance, and that coincides with that 200 moving average. So that would be a good initial point to take profit. Maybe a consolidation here, or maybe it goes straight through. I'm not sure, but the next point. So I'll call this 2 target points. Target 1 would be the 200 with this resistance here, about 210. And then the next point, should we get above there, and you should see if it breaks and holds, should bring us to this next point up here, about zone 235 to 240, depending on the time frame, with this downtrend line, and resistance here, where the 200 weekly moving average was about 240, 235. Be a little bit more conservative, 235. Okay, so plenty of room to the upside, and this chart's really firming up. We had the large positive divergence, and now we're starting to curl to the upside with some green histogram there, and we're above in bullish territory. And I think this is going to play out where we get divergence, and all this should give us negative divergence on the daily. We don't need it on the weekly because we're in a bearish long-term trend. And this should curl back up here for the slow stow and head up. So I think we're in a, just from traditional technical analysis, I think we're in a positive stance. We're holding this 8 EMA, and we're just getting tight price action from this downtrend line, and I think we should take off from there past the point of control, which is kind of the center point. We'll just call it 200 right now, will be kind of our center point here, and I'll show you how that significance will play there. But we're in a bullish stance on traditional technical analysis. We're above the EMAs, and we could probably see a breakout coming out pretty soon here. And you can draw this out as a short-term triangle with the downtrend here as well. So if we are to bail out of this trade, if we make a downtrend here, if we break down from this downtrend, that's an easy, if you're in a long-term trade, or if you're holding the stock, this is an easy point where you can set your stop. If you're in more of options like I am in a shorter term, then maybe just right under 8 EMA, and this has been playing really good support and resistance right here. So this would be a good zone here. which is underneath the 8 EMA, and we'll call it 180. It should be a good point of reference. So you have support, resistance, and support and resistance. That was obviously a important zone here that we gapped over. Resistance, and now acting as support. So underneath the 180 should be a good stop as well if you're in a little bit shorter term. And then if we move over to, we have the Elliott wave 4 triangle is what we showed in the last video, and now we're going to look at the Elliott wave bear, which I think is a more likely situation with everything that's happening with the market. I do believe that Tesla should play a little bit of catch up, and this is the scenario here. So this correction, we're just looking for an A, B, C, and if you're a bull, you don't want this bottom point of reference here at about 138. If you're holding stock long term, you don't want price to go underneath here. That should be your stop there. But on the bullish point, here's the difference. We're looking for A, B, C, and this is a really short one here where it'd be a D, E is over, but I think it's more likely it would be like a D out here and another E out here. If you're bullish, this would be your count, and then you'd be looking for a breakout, inverse head and shoulder. But I think the bearish scenario is a little bit more likely. Seeing how I'm bearish on the market, and this should help with bringing the market down. And I'm talking more of a recession. So where we have our A here, but this is still a corrective move, and we'll find a bottom. Again, we're talking about that 75 or so, maybe 70. We have our initial A, and then we're correcting in B right now, and I think this is more likely a triangle. So all of this is B. B starts here. And then we're doing a triangle in wave B, because wave B can be anything. Be flat, triangle, just wasting time. Get everybody bulled up and then drop into a wave C. Now, could it go lower down here at 50? I don't have a target quite yet, but I think that uptrend line that we're talking about would be a good target around 70, 75 or so. So in the more near term, if this triangle is playing out, we'd be looking for an A, B, C into A in this purple. We had a three-wave movement, A, B, C. I think that works out perfect for a B. And we're looking for an A, you see in the white, B, C, back into retracements up for a wave C. And that could be at the 50% at that 220. But like I said, I think it's more likely to go a little bit deeper retracement to the 62, which is right in those target areas where I was talking about. So I think that's our likely target. It's a downtrend line here and the 235 to 240 range. And we even have a time factor out here in July 6th. So that might play out into July 6th where there's a high that we're looking for, a reversal. So we'll be able to trade this both ways. Right now I'm still long in calls, and that's this is about 2 weeks away. So I think that's a good amount of time, 2 weeks, to look for a few nice weekly bars going up into this next target. Okay, and then after that, we can look for another ABC into D, and then an ABC into E, and that might be the time frame way out in November. Okay, so that would work out perfect for the election. I think a possible reversal of the market, a deep reversal starting a recession, and that would be the top here at E. And then we can have an impulse wave, a 5-wave move down to complete this count down to the downside. So that would work out time and price wise. The alternative situation is that, you know, the weekly and the monthly kind of plays out, and we're at that, I should say the monthly has that we're in the downtrend. and we're having trouble with that 8 EMA here. And then we don't make new highs above this 197 and the point of control 200. This zone here, which is our mid zone of this triangle, and we reverse from here, and we don't make a new high above 200. So, but that would stop us out at just a little bit lower here underneath these EMAs. Okay, so 180, we'd start to just get out of our positions, and we'd think about this in a different way to where this is more of a B up here, and then this is some sort of ending diagonal to the downside. But even if I'm looking at it this way and we're more bearish that this doesn't play out time-wise, then we still have to look at this as probably being an ending diagonal, because this is a three-wave move. This is an ABC. This is a perfect overlapping three-wave here, a pullback, and then a 5-wave move here, which we have drawn out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a perfect ABC. So if this gets more bearish sooner, we still have to look at this as being a wave 1. And we're looking for 2. So is 2 over after this little impulse move? Possibly. But even if so I just think it's really unlikely. I think that we still need a pullback, and this is the retracement from the top to bottom of this move. So even if this is a 1 for an ending diagonal, I still think we have a retracement at minimum to 50 to 60%. So I think either way you go, bearish situation, and how we set up our trades, even in your bull. So whether you're a bull or a bear, I think we have a great trade to the upside. It's likely we're going to test these downtrend lines. And if you're a bull, it should set up higher. If you're and waste time and go higher. So it's kind of like this is exact scenarios either way. So I think we have a bullish play here, and then I'm a bear. So, but I think it's going to take time. We'll play a down move on Tesla from these points, and so on. Okay, so that's the important part, is when bulls and bears both come together for the same trade, we have a high probability trade. And I think we're in this situation right here where we continue our bullish stance just in the short term, possibly into July 6th. So that's what I want to show you, that really in the, I'll give you the 65. I don't think there's a whole lot more information to show you. It's just the inverse head and shoulder. We're looking for the options expected move here for this week at the downtrend line. So, you know, it still could get there, but we're kind of having trouble with this triangle here, rejected off the triangle, but holding good support here at 180. So again, this could just be buckling up for the next move. You have the long-term pressure to the downside, but you have the short-term firming up, and I think it's likely that we get our next move. And just have your stop ready. If we're counting this initial move here should be an A. Looks very impulsive, like a zigzag. So that would mean we have our correction, and we're looking for a 1, 2 setup. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're looking for a wave 3 or 3, which should get pretty, should be a pretty impressive move coming up here. Now, I might have some more information on time-wise. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. So we already had our low at the 21st, and we had a high here at the 23rd, or perhaps you could say 24th. So this cluster here, and now we're looking out to July 7th on the daily time frame, and look at that, we have a cluster here, the 7th, the 5th, 7th, 8th, all of it right here. So that will be our cluster we're looking for in the future here, and we'll just kind of monitor what these individual ones are doing as price goes up and down. All right, but I think this is a 1-2 setup, just like here. Back tested this triangle, and we're just setting up to make a move after this. All right, that's what I have here. We're gonna go ahead and get our market video out here soon too. So thanks for being a member, and we'll talk to you soon.